Hello, everyone, and welcome to Haxball Tactical Analysis, Episode 5. Today, we will look into two pretty identical goals, which happened in about 3 minutes distance in the match. First, I'm going to show you the first one, then the second one, and we'll analyze only the second one because I think it's going to be much easier to explain and to understand. So, first, we're looking into the first goal, which happened like that. Okay, we're going into the next one, throw in. Okay, what is the problem with Blues defense in these two goals? Let's look back and analyze from here. So we're starting off with the throw in. Positioning seems kind of okay. We have props to the striker here, who is keeping a solid distance and pretty good positioning, making sure that this player is kind of isolated and it's hard to play. He's, I would say, perfect positioning in that situation. We have here this player making sure that number 7 is covered, and these two players are supposed to play together the throw in. Goalkeeper is in a okay position. Number 34 is ready to press here, and let's see what happens from there. Okay, so we got the pass, got the back pass. Now this player here presses, which is okay. So we see that pretty much everyone is covered, except in these situations. Now you understand that the ball is going toward in that direction, and you don't have a player nowhere near here. So you should kind of in that situation play more passive, stop the pressure for a second, reorganize, go a little bit backwards, try to position the whole team in a more centered manner around the new situation, because having the ball here, having your team positioned like that is okay, but as soon as the ball goes downwards, the whole situation changes, and you have two players that are essentially out of position. So you should all make a little bit more defensive approach and regrouping in this situation. Let's see what happens next. Okay, so now it's pretty clear that the ball already goes down there, and of course, the most common thing that you should do is that player presses here, and all the other players should regroup, maybe in that direction. But there is something interesting happening here, and this is the guy that actually scores the goal. So once the ball is sent in that direction, I want to start off with the most obvious thing. This player is at the moment out of the situation. He's too far away. He's not a threat. The most common and most passive play that the number 7 can do as soon as the ball arrives, and he's thinking about it as the ball travels, he could do a back pass again to this guy who can actually start pressing forward with the ball. And of course, he could also, after the back pass, he could go a little bit downwards to open and essentially to move the whole play a little bit south. And also, this is the easiest option. The more complicated option is to actually note that his player here is in a little bit more complicated and tricky situation and position, and maybe to try to make the pass. And now the blue team should be very careful of that pass, because when you're defending and you don't have the ball, you should always think about the player that can score. These two players, they can't score. They're too far away. That player uh, could be a threat, considering that the ball is traveling south, and our team, in our case, in my case, the blue team, we're out of position. The ball is traveling fast from the top side of the pitch to the bottom side of the pitch. So we have to regroup fast. We have to close, especially this player and that player, because they are the only threat that we have. And now, some people would say that this guy is in a pretty risky position because the chances that he gets the ball are pretty slim, and I would agree. But in case he takes, he wins the gamble and he receives the ball, it gets pretty dangerous. So in this situation, we're seeing that here the DM is kind of out of position, and I wouldn't say he's to blame. I would say here the number two did an amazing movement after giving the back pass to that guy who gave the pass to that guy. Because essentially, if we go a little bit backwards, just try to imagine it. When the throw in took place, that guy made a back pass. And as soon as he made the back pass, he was behind the DM. So this is a very good situation for a striker to be in. He just went downwards. And the blue team, including the DM, tried to press, which, as I earlier said, when the ball is so far away, you don't want to be pressing that much. You would want to go a little bit backwards and to actually protect the territory in front of your goal and make sure that this player is enabled to play. Uh, Making that forward movement is like, okay, we're pressing you, we want to take the ball, but you can't take the ball because you're so far away from the player and you don't know what he's going to do. He could maybe decide to walk with the ball forward, or they could do the thing with the back pass that I suggested earlier. You just don't know what the enemy will do, and pressing is not gaining anything for your team because there's no way you're winning the ball when it's too far away. Okay, moving on. It's clear the drawing here. So once the ball goes in that direction, now here comes the trickier part. So number two now realizes that he could be in an opportunistic uh, position. Maybe he could get something out of it. Number 34 now realizes that he's being blocked, and ooh, this might be a problem here. This area might be a problem. And now here is the thing where the blue team, they conceded in a similar manner the previous goal, the first goal that I showed you, that we're not analyzing in this video. There's something that this blue team needs to work on, and they need to figure this out. Now, in situations like this, there's two things you can do to prevent that goal. Now, as I said, I understand this is not the perfect position for a DM, but it is still not the biggest mistake so far. This is still preventable. You could not concede in that situation. So there are two moves. Now, the first thing is that this player here, he could take this approach and say, okay, I see that this guy is probably expecting a pass, so I can approach the number 7 from that direction, and I'm intercepting the pass, but I'm opening the goal for shooting, which is obviously not the thing that we want. But if I take this approach, the goalkeeper should move in that direction and cover the the goal. And this is something that should happen as the ball travels. You have to make that decision. Of course, with time, when you play together with your teammates a lot, you will know when your teammate will take a certain decision and when it will take the other decision. That's the one thing that you could do. And it's probably now in this situation, the number 6 is a bit way too north. So maybe this would not be the optimal. It's still something that you have to keep in mind that it's possible to play. And now I'm going to show you what is the other approach. So the other approach in these situations that you could take is as the ball travels, you could, as a goalkeeper, you could say, okay, the ball goes here. My teammate is here. I know that he will close the goal for me, and I'm free to close this pass here. So it's either going that direction and this guy goes in that direction, or it's the other way around. This player goes here and that player goes here. Because in both cases you cover the shot and you cover the pass. In our situation, let's see what happens. How did the blue team play this out? Now, of course, just a quick note. This is all play to stop this player from receiving the pass and to stop this player from scoring. This play is not stopping the back pass, but considering that red are on the move now, if number 7 plays it passively and pass backwards, I would say this is a win situation for the blue team because you're pretty much killing the speed of the enemy attack, you're killing the dynamics, and you have time for these players to actually return into their positions to make the space tight. And again, the red team are in pretty much a more difficult situation to attack because the blue team is regrouped around their goal, so it's harder to attack. Now the red team sees they have an opportunity, 2 players out of position, maybe we should try something. That's why as a blue team you should recognize your weaknesses. You see, okay, this situation we are very weak, we have to make something, we have to make a play and we have to defend. So back pass here is favorable for the blue team. So we're only trying to defend from the thing that could possess a danger. Back pass is not a danger at the moment. Moving on forward, see how this played out. Okay, now you see how much far away this goalkeeper is, and this is definitely not the correct position to be into because this player decided to play a more passive approach, not to actually push here as soon as the ball received. He decides to just cover territory, which again, you could argue that it's probably not the best move because you could just press and force the number 7 to make a pass without having the time to be accurate. Maybe he misses the pass, maybe he passes to number 34 and you can make a counter attack from here. He takes the ball and this guy here. Maybe this is just speculation, but still, I'm not happy with this guy standing just here and waiting. And I'm even more not happy with the goalkeeper standing here because with this position in mind, that player is essentially covering the strike here. It's no way that the number 7 scores. So you as a goalkeeper, right here, if we just imagine what is the range that this player can cover, he probably could cover somewhere around here, around him, and he could also cover something like that. So everything behind here he could actually cover. So you don't, as a goalkeeper, you don't want to stay behind your teammate directly because you're not covering anything. Like if you could imagine that this is like a triangle or like an arrow that your teammate covers, and now he even covers wider because if that guy starts to turn in that direction, so he can shoot like that. Of course, this guy would go downwards and close. So this is like a cone, like a funnel of what your teammate covers, and you as a goalkeeper, you don't want to stay in that cone because you're essentially not doing anything. If the ball was to be coming around here in somewhere in that area, your teammate would have already intercepted. So right here, you're not doing anything. So it would be better if you were to stay here, or if you were to stay here, or if you wanted to be even closer like that. It's still a better move. I'm not saying it's the perfect, but it's still better than what the goalkeeper is doing right now. Or like I previously said, you could have that player approaching this way, which is essentially saying to number 7, I don't want you to pass. I want you to go in that direction. And then the number 7 has pretty much no choice, of course, except back pass or going straight. And if that player moves here, the cone that he would make would look something like that. So he would cover everything here behind, but he wouldn't cover the strike. So the goalkeeper would have to go down and cover the strike. And again, this is of course, timing is involved here. We don't know how fast that player would turn. We don't know if he will be very accurate to shoot here in the perfect spot, because it is possible that the strike goes through and the goalkeeper doesn't have that time to move. But of course, this is now already we're seeing that it's a little bit late for them to make the move because the pass is always ready, and even if it was turned to be a shot, it's still the number 6. We're not sure if he will be able to stop the shot because the goal is essentially empty. But yeah, these two players essentially, if the attack was happening from the other side, it would have been the number 6 and the other player, either 34 or here the striker. You guys need to work on that, and you guys need to figure out what we do in this situation, because as you see here on the timeline, this is like 3 minutes apart, and you get scored essentially the same goal, which is definitely something you don't want to be happening. Okay, so we move forward. Now you see the pass. Now here, it's a little bit it's definitely not case lost in this situation because there are many goalkeepers that would save here, and this is pretty much here one-on-one. The technique of the number 10 of the number 2 and the technique of the number 6. My personal advice, which I would have given here, is that the ball was not flying with such high speed, so it's pretty much obvious that the shot was going to be taken earlier and go underneath the goalkeeper rather than taken later and go above the goalkeeper. So this is, of course, just a minor individual mistake, or people would say not that minor actually, because this is actually another opportunity for you to stop the goal for not being conceded. But the goalkeeper is tricked by the striker and they concede. But just see, like he thinks that the ball will go up, but just with more practice, of course, and with more situations like that, you would see that When the ball is flying with low speed, it's a lot easier for the goalkeeper and a lot harder for the striker because he doesn't have the speed to make tricks with, which the speed is always in his advantage. Like if this pass was a lot more with a lot more power, then the striker has options. He could strike early and aim for that angle, or he could strike late. He could fake that he's striking early and shoot for the latter angle. But with that speed, it was, in my opinion at least, it was very, very obvious that the shot was going to be down here. It was going to be early because the striker has no way to wait for the ball to go up here and then to hit it. Pretty much that's it. Thank you for watching. Like it, subscribe it, and see you in the next video.